In recent times, the wilderness has claimed several hikers who ventured into its vast, unpredictable terrains, their stories fading into the shadows of the forests and mountains that they explored. The media frequently reports such incidents, where search and rescue operations turn into somber recoveries, or sometimes celebrations of miraculous survivals. Yet, there remains a subset of these tales, those hikers who vanish without a trace, leaving behind more questions than answers. One such example is the story of Eric Lewis, whose disappearance has puzzled experts and enthusiasts alike for over a decade. On a seemingly ordinary summer day in 2010, Eric Lewis, a 57-year-old experienced climber from Duvall, Washington, embarked on a climb on Mount Rainier, one of the most revered and risky climbs in the United States. His journey, which began in the spirit of adventure and challenge, took an unexpected turn when, at a crucial segment of the climb, he simply unclipped from his team's rope and disappeared into thin air. The only clue left behind was a mysteriously tied butterfly knot, an eerie and silent witness to his sudden absence. The disappearance of Eric Lewis is not just another missing person case. It is a chilling reminder of the power and unpredictability of nature. It raises profound questions about safety, the limits of human endurance, and the mysteries that can unfold in remote, unforgiving environments. The fact that a well-prepared and seasoned climber like Eric could vanish so completely is both baffling and alarming, casting a shadow over the climbing community and haunting those who continue to explore the rugged terrains of Mount Rainier. His story is an illustration of how quickly an adventure can turn into misfortune, leaving a mystery that continues to echo through the corridors of time. Eric Lewis, at the age of 57, was a resident of Duvall, Washington, a small, picturesque town known for its close-knit community and scenic beauty. With a deep passion for the outdoors, Eric had cultivated considerable experience in mountain climbing over the years, making him no stranger to the challenges posed by the high peaks. His familiarity with rugged terrains and his ability to navigate them had earned him respect in the climbing community. This background makes his sudden disappearance even more baffling and underlines the mysterious nature of his last expedition. Mount Rainier looms large over Washington state, standing at 14,411 feet. It is the highest peak in the Cascade Range and one of the most iconic landmarks in the Pacific Northwest. Located about 59 miles southeast of Seattle, this massive stratovolcano is visible on clear days, drawing the eyes and the spirit of adventurers and tourists alike. The mountain is infamous for its challenging climbs, with conditions that can change swiftly from welcoming to treacherous. Its glaciers, crevasses, and unpredictable weather patterns require climbers to be highly skilled and exceptionally prepared. The historical significance of Mount Rainier in the climbing world is deep-rooted. It was the site of the first recorded summit in 1870 by Hazard Stevens and Filman Beecher Van Trump via what is now known as the Gibraltar Ledges Route, the very route Eric Lewis was attempting when he vanished. This historical route underscores the mountain's role as a testing ground for climbers, serving as a reminder of both the triumphs and tragedies that have unfolded on its slopes. On the morning of July 1st, 2010, Eric Lewis and his two climbing companions began their ascent up Mount Rainier, specifically tackling the Gibraltar Ledges route. This day was marked by a mixture of anticipation and the calm that often precedes unforeseen events. As they climbed, the weather started to turn. What began as a clear morning gradually worsened into conditions of high winds and low visibility. These deteriorating weather conditions played a critical role in the day's tragic outcome. By early afternoon, around 1 p.m., and at an elevation of approximately 13,900 feet, a crucial and mysterious event occurred. Eric's companions, who were a few feet ahead, stopped to wait for him to join. However, when they pulled on the climbing rope that connected them to Eric, they found it oddly slack. Upon hauling it in, they discovered the end tied off with a butterfly knot, an indication that Eric had intentionally unclipped himself from the rope. He was nowhere in sight, having vanished into the white, misty expanse of the mountain without leaving any discernible tracks or signs of his path. The immediate response from Eric's climbing partners was one of confusion and urgency. Initially, they searched the immediate area, calling out for Eric and scanning the slopes below for any sign of him. As the visibility continued to decline with the weather, their frantic search proved fruitless. Faced with the harsh realities of their situation and the unforgiving mountain environment, they made the difficult decision to descend to Camp Muir, the primary base camp at 10,200 feet. Here, they reported Eric's disappearance to the park rangers, triggering a swift reaction. The rangers at Camp Muir coordinated the initial search efforts, recognizing the severity of the situation, high altitude, challenging terrain, and worsening weather. They mobilized quickly. Search teams were assembled, comprising both park rangers and experienced volunteers from the climbing community. These teams were dispatched with the dual aim of finding Eric and ensuring no further lives were put at risk amid the increasingly perilous conditions. The role of the park rangers was pivotal. They not only led the search operations, but also provided critical insights into the possible location Eric might have sought shelter in or could have accidentally reached. The initial hours after a disappearance are crucial, and the rangers' expertise in navigating the treacherous mountain terrain of Mount Rainier was instrumental in the extensive search that unfolded over the following days. As the seriousness of Eric Lewis's disappearance settled, a comprehensive search operation was quickly organized. The search teams were composed of ground crews, including National Park Service climbing rangers and experienced mountaineers from commercial climbing companies. Also, volunteers from local mountain rescue organizations joined the search. Additionally, aerial support was provided by helicopters from both military and commercial sources, which scoured the mountain from above, allowing the searchers to cover the vast and rugged terrain more effectively. The search efforts focused on areas where Eric was last seen and where he could have possibly reached after separating from his team. These included the immediate surroundings of the Gibraltar Ledges route and the lower slopes where Eric might have sought refuge from the harsh conditions. The areas around known crevasses and potential snow caves were also thoroughly searched, given the likelihood of seeking shelter or accidentally falling. Among the clues uncovered during the extensive search were Eric's backpack, climbing harness, and snow shovel. These items were found at an elevation of 13,600 feet, several hundred feet below the last known point where he was seen. This discovery was perplexing. The equipment was essential for survival and climbing safety. Why would Eric leave them behind unless under utter distress or confusion? Moreover, searchers found a small snow cave at 13,800 feet, slightly above where his equipment was located. The existence of a snow cave hinted at a possible scenario where Eric, perhaps disoriented or in a desperate attempt to find shelter, might have dug it out as a temporary refuge from the severe weather. The positioning of these items and the snow cave painted a grim picture of his last known movements, suggesting that he might have been trying to survive alone on the mountain under increasingly difficult circumstances. This part of the search added a layer of profound mystery and urgency to the efforts, driving home the harsh realities of mountain survival and the dire situation that Eric possibly faced. Eric's sudden disappearance spurred a range of theories, each trying to make sense of the scant clues left behind. Some speculate that it may have been an accident, a misstep, or a slip in poor visibility that led him off his designated path without a trace. Others ponder the possibility of foul play. Could tensions or misunderstandings among the climbing team have led to this tragic outcome? There's also the haunting consideration of a voluntary disappearance, suggesting that Eric might have intentionally walked away from his life, prompted by unknown personal turmoil. The harsh conditions on Mount Rainier are known to exacerbate the risk of hypothermia and disorientation, both of which could impair a climber's judgment and physical capabilities. Eric's decision to unclip from the safety rope might have been the result of a confused state brought on by the onset of hypothermia. Alternatively, it could have been a deliberate act of survival, perhaps believing he had a better chance alone, or in a moment of panic induced by the extreme environment. The mysterious circumstances surrounding Eric's disappearance echo other notable cases in mountaineering history. A particularly relevant incident is recounted in Touching the Void, where climber Joe Simpson was left for dead after his partner, Simon Yates, had to cut their connecting rope to prevent both from falling. Simpson, however, survived against all odds. This story, like Eric's, highlights the profound unpredictability and peril inherent in high-altitude climbing, where decisions made under duress can have life or death consequences. These comparisons not only provide context, but also underscore the puzzling and dangerous nature of mountain expeditions, where not all who wander are lost, but some are never found. The unresolved disappearance of Eric Lewis has cast a long shadow over the climbing community around Mount Rainier. It has led to heightened awareness about the unpredictability and dangers of mountain climbing, particularly on routes as challenging as the Gibraltar Ledges. In response, local climbing protocols have been tightened, with increased emphasis on safety checks, climber preparation, and mandatory check-ins at various stages of the ascent. These changes aim to prevent similar incidents, ensuring that climbers are better equipped and more closely monitored. More than a decade later, the case of Eric Lewis remains open yet inactive. No substantial leads or evidence have emerged, despite the passage of years and the continuous efforts of search teams. The periodic reviews of the case have yielded no new insights, leaving the mystery intact. Officially, search operations have been scaled back, but rangers and climbers remain vigilant, always on the lookout for any clue that might emerge from the mountains. Eric's family and friends have lived with his unresolved disappearance for many years. In their statements, they express a mix of grief and unresolved longing for answers. Not knowing what happened is the hardest part, one family member shared, reflecting a sentiment that resonates deeply within the community. They hold on to the hope that someday, some new information may surface that brings closure to this enduring mystery. Reflecting on the nature of climbing high-risk mountains like Mount Rainier brings into sharp focus the immense challenges and risks involved. These mountains demand respect for their sheer power and unpredictability. The emotional and psychological toll on the families and communities of those who go missing on such climbs is profound and lasting. Each disappearance leaves behind a legacy of sorrow, unanswered questions, and a renewed caution among those who continue to venture into these majestic but formidable landscapes.